Hey guys, welcome back to Mediocre Hobbies, and in today's video we are making a Black Templar themed Chaplain on bike model. We're going to be using some Great Tide Studio conversion bits to make him fit in, some of the plastic conversion bits from Games Workshop, and we're going to basically just have a badass knight riding around the battlefield on a bike. So I'm very excited to get it done. Before I get to the video, huge thank you to out there continues to support the channel by watching, liking, commenting, subscribing, and of course all those extra people who go and subscribe on the Patreon. You guys really do keep this channel alive, so from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. If you want to check that out, there's a whole host of different reasons I think it's great for you to get involved. You get extra videos, you get extra podcast episodes, there's awesome community over on Discord, and I do monthly giveaways. This month I'm giving away this awesome World Leaders Army, so if someone wants to win this box set, all they need to do is be signed up to the Patreon at any tier. Okay, without further ado, let's dive in and get this awesome model painted up. Okay, so this is my Black Templar collection currently, and as you can see, the shelf is pretty jam-packed, and most of it is actually fully painted. And one of the things I like to do with my Black Templars is do a lot of like conversion work with some 3D print stuff. So for instance, here's my Terminators, all with the Black Templar shields, cool power axes, and extra kind of wazzy bits stuck on. And the same goes for a bunch of other units and stuff. I like to add those pieces in just to really help it kind of match in and fix. So now my Dreadnoughts especially, you can see, are all very much Black Templared up. Well, I have this shelf up here which has a couple of other bits which have been converted, have had their extra bits glued on, but I haven't got around to painting them. There was another model right here, and that's what I'm going to focus on in today's video. I use the awesome kind of Black Templary bits from Great Tide Studio to basically create a Chaplain on bike, but I'm using it as basically a big badass knight on a bike, and I'll use the Chaplain on bike rules for that. And that's what I'm going to be painting in today's video. So yeah, it should be fun. Okay, so this is the bike conversion that I have. So it is actually the Chaplain on bike model. And then I use the Black Templars upgrade kit for that big awesome sword with the kind of winged tips. And then I've just upgraded the bike to no end with all the awesome parts from Great Tide Studio. So these awesome panels that slap on the side. There's a big turbocharged exhaust on the front. And then there's these awesome like symbols on the back and all the flames and fire and stuff. So it definitely will help the bike tie in a hell of a lot more with Black Templars and with my Black Templar, for seeing how it's so heavily used with the parts. I've gone through how to paint up my Black Templars a million times before, so I'll just very quickly go through it as I kind of talk through this model. I've wanted a set of bikes for my Black Templars for quite some time, since how they are, of course, mainly focused on being awesome knights on crusade. And Space Marines, if a Space Marine got on a horse, it would probably just split in half. So they get these awesome big bikes. And I really wanted them to stand out and look like a fierce unit of knights, like the Black Knights that the Dark Age will get. Are incredible models. The normal Primaris ones, although they're very cool at looking like kind of recon models, they don't really look like, you know, menacing combat unit flying across the battlefield. You wouldn't be worried if someone came at you with an Outrider squad. So adding all these extra Black Templar parts will hopefully boost up the kind of visual aesthetic of them looking like menacing knights coming to really ruin your day. And obviously their combat prowess is not the most powerful in combat, but substituted with the awesome might of a Chaplain on bike model, armed to the teeth, I think this will be a small unit that can't be ignored on the battlefield. I will hopefully manage to get the other 3 bikes painted at some stage soon, and then of course, like I said, get them on the tabletop and play some games. I've of course gone for the red shoulder pad design for the Templars, as this guy is going to be considered a veteran, although it's, you know, the model and the rules I'll be using is a Chaplain. In my head, he's not a Chaplain. He's just an awesome knight, so I will consider him to be part of the Sword Brethren. So I will paint him to look like the Sword Brethren. So we have the black inlaid shoulders with the red trim, red cross, and then a couple of other red details just to help it balance out across the bike. So his saddle is going to be red. The awesome, looks like an iron halo with a skull in the middle. On the back, it's going to be red. Hastings of the Bolt are red as traditional. And I think this really does balance out the black and the red on the bike. There's obviously going to be a lot more silver. I used Black Templar contrast for the bike, and we're going to be using that to match the rest of the Templars. I've actually gone for Black Legion contrast for the wheels to give it that kind of black rubber look. And it's actually a lot of fun to paint. I actually built this model quite a long time ago, and I've been waiting for an opportunity or a gap in my kind of thing to get it painted. And this month, for my Great Tide Studios video, I was planning on doing a different model, but my printer had a crap fit, and unfortunately the prints failed, which left me short on time and not able to deliver the model that I wanted to. I kind of panicked for a minute, being like, oh crap, I'm going to run out of time here. And then I remembered that I had made this, which is head to toe Great Tight Studio bits. And that's something that I've always wanted to paint up and show off. So it kind of worked out great for me. So here he is. I haven't added anything to my Black Templars in quite some time. I've been focused primarily on my Imperial Fists and my Death Guard. So it was definitely a nice change of pace to get this done. Adding things like purity seals, the wax colored red and gold, silver, all those done. It's time to shade the model, and we go for a black shade all over the entire piece, head to toe. We've also, not on camera, thrown a very dark Eshin grey onto the stonework that he's kind of driving along underneath. And then of course we're going to be throwing things like texture paste on and doing all the dry brushing on the base to really make it pop. To make my Space Marines pop, they have Martian style bases. All of my Space Marines, Loyalist Space Marines, are on the same style of basing, every single one of them, so that if I ever want to play a large scale game or a campaign, they're all matching. I can put them all next to each other and they won't look out of place. And I really love that effect. It's the same thing with my Guardsmen. My Guardsmen are all on kind of brown, muddy bases with some flak board and stuff, which means that across the board, if I put all the armies together, they look the same and they match, and it's just one big campaign. I really like that. Okay, while I was waiting for some of the basing material to dry, it's time to get in with the layering. So I went in with some Corvus Black and very carefully layered up all of the awesome black armor across this model. It doesn't take that much time. You're not trying to give like maximum coverage. You're just trying to get a few of the highlight points where some light will hit. And then after that, you just want to give all of the black sections a light, and I mean a very light dry brush of silver, just to catch those edges, to give this scratching effect on some of them. Obviously, this is a motorcycle driving through a war zone, and obviously a lot of people are going to be firing at it. It's going to be a lot of small arms fire, chipping off the paint and scratching it. So it's not going to stay pristine for very long. So yeah, I love the silver dry brush. After that, obviously my orange and bone dry brush across the texture paste on the base, making sure to heavily hit the bottom of the bike, the wheels, and all of that stonework, just to help it look like it's driving through the actual war zone it's placed in. I'm not one for pristine stuff. Currently going through my Imperial Fist army and painting that up, and everything is pristine. And I love the final result, but I'm still tempted to go back and add a little bit of weathering to it. Whereas my Templars are definitely at the forefront of all engagements and always kind of scratched and dinged up. Time for the fire. I know I do fire backwards. We've talked about this in a bunch of videos and I always get comments, even though I explain it in the video, that I like flames to go backwards on miniatures. I think it actually looks better. And by that I mean, if you look at a real fire, it's the brightest in the middle. So the very like core of a flame is white, and then it goes into yellow and then orange and then red and then black. I start from red and then I dry brush it orange, then I dry brush it yellow, and then I dry brush it white. So it's the opposite way, but I think it sells flame on a miniature really, really well, and it's really fast to do. Don't ask me why I like it doing it this way. I've always done it this way. Unless you're really paying attention, you don't really notice that it's backwards, but I think it looks great. You guys can let me know in the comments, do you think it looks great or do you think it looks weird? It works for me, look at that. I think it looks awesome. He's a flamey Legion of the Damn Head, and we've got Ghost Rider in our hands here. Okay, time to very carefully layer up all of that beautiful red. We're going for a full 3 stages of highlighting on this. We want it to look really, really nice. So Mephiston, Evil Sons, all the way up into Wild Rider for the edges. Yeah, to make those kind of key details pop across the model. With my Black Templar force, I've got 3 bikes and a Vindicator Laser Destroyer left to paint, and then the whole collection, everything I've built for my Black Templar so far is fully painted. I really need to try and find the time and finish those pieces off. But I'm being pulled in a million different directions for projects right now, so maybe that won't happen for a while. You can see me going in with the next highlight just into those kind of sharpest edges and kind of center bits, leaving the kind of rivets and the lower portions of the red nice and dark from the previous color. And then we go to that last highlight. You can see that I'm just focusing on the edges. Kind of like an edge highlight, but you're not too worried about it. And it's making it pop. I must say that even though the model looks quite large and quite intimidating, it was actually quite a fun, like adventurous little model to paint. no single stage was awkward or difficult or annoying. So I find the process really enjoyable. If you have a paint scheme where no single stage bothers you, you're onto a winner. That's just the best thing in the world. You could paint them all day, all week, all year. So that's great if you can find it. There's usually 1 or 2 stages that people don't enjoy in their schemes though, and that's just the price you pay for the models you want to painted. Spending a little bit of extra time on extra details, highlighting the handles on the bike. I'm going to do all the little consoles and lenses and stuff that are across the model as well, in that kind of glowy green look. And with that, we pretty much finished painting our glorious Chaplain on bike, except he's not a Chaplain. He's a, I guess he's a Crusader on bike. What is he? What would he be? And a Black, a Black Templar on bike would be amazing, wouldn't it? Well, here he is, the final result. I'm very pleased with him. What do you guys think? Do you like it? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure you do check out Grey Tide Studios. Like I said, they will be linked down below. They do an awesome selection of bits to really kind of pick up your models and make them stand out in the battlefield. Thank you guys so much for sticking around to the end. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next one.